Have you ever felt like your mind was a crowded room, filled with so much noise that even the silence was deafening? As if you're looking in the mirror and the person staring back seems like a stranger. In the bustling chaos of everyday life, we often find ourselves living on a treadmill of responsibilities, commitments, and expectations. Day after day, we put on a facade, a mask that hides our true feelings. We pretend to be okay when we're anything but. But have you ever reached a point where you just want to disappear? Not because you want to escape from your problems, but because you need to escape into yourself. Lucas was the epitome of a vibrant young man. Always surrounded by friends, always buzzing with activity, always seeming to have it together. But behind that picture-perfect existence, Lucas was quietly crumbling. He was drained, perpetually overwhelmed by a relentless barrage of thoughts, struggling with sleepless nights and a creeping sense of anxiety that seemed to follow him everywhere. He tried to brush it aside, convince himself it wasn't a big deal. After all, he had a reputation to uphold. But the harder he tried to ignore it, the louder the internal alarm grew. It was a silent scream for help that he could no longer afford to ignore. He knew he needed a break, a drastic one. So he did the unthinkable. He checked out. No social media, no late-night work sessions, just a sudden and unexplained leave of absence from his bustling life. He retreated to a secluded cabin in the woods, a place where the only sounds were the rustling leaves and the chirping crickets. It was the kind of place where one could disappear without a trace, both literally and figuratively. The initial days were the hardest. The silence was oppressive, the solitude suffocating. It was in that suffocating quiet that Lucas truly saw himself, the real him, for the first time in a long time. Disconnected from the internet and its endless distractions, he began to reconnect with himself. He savored the unhurried mornings, the warmth of the sun on his skin, the peace of the whispering trees. He sat by the lake, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, and he found solace in the simple act of writing in a journal. He cried, he laughed, he slept soundly for the first time in years. He devoured books that had been collecting dust on his shelves, and he had honest conversations with himself, with no one else around to offer input or judgment. And as the days turned into weeks, something remarkable happened. His mind began to heal, not because of any magical or miraculous intervention, but simply because he finally gave it the space it desperately needed. In the solitude of his cabin, Lucas embarked on a journey of self-discovery. He realized that self-care wasn't a luxury, it was essential. That sometimes stepping away from the world is the best way to get closer to yourself. When he finally emerged from his self-imposed exile, he was different. Lighter, more aware, more at peace. The world hadn't changed, but Lucas had. Life still had its challenges, its problems, and its worries. But he'd found a safe haven within himself, a place he could retreat to whenever the outside world became too much to bear. Disappearing, he realized, sometimes is the only way to reappear, to really see yourself. If you feel the pull of that same need for a pause, for a moment of quiet, of solitude, then listen to it. Take time for yourself. Prioritize your mental health. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is disappear for a while, not to escape, but to rediscover. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Just go. Disappear, rebuild, and then come back to the world. If you choose to, a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more whole. If this story has resonated with you, if you've ever felt the urge to disappear but didn't know how or why, please share it with someone who might need to hear it, who might be going through the same silent struggle. Your act of kindness could be the light that someone needs in their darkest hour. God bless you, and until the next life lesson.